This program is proudly brought to you by Telecom Limited and Daytech.
Good night, Papua New Guinea. I'm Malcolm Warwagira, and welcome to this one-hour special episode of Infocus. In this edition of Infocus, we feature PNG cultural preservation and cultural tourism. We speak to the National Cultural Commission's General Manager for Festival and Arts, Mr. David Time, about the role the National Cultural Commission plays in preserving culture in Papua New Guinea, as well as some of the emerging trends in cultural preservation in the country. Mr. David Time, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Warwagira, for having me on Infocus today.
Firstly, Mr. Time, can you give us a context of how your respective institution, which is the National Cultural Commission, how it goes about documenting and preserving PNG culture?
The National Cultural Commission was formed by an Act of Parliament in 1994, the National Cultural Commission Act, with the main objective is to preserve, protect, and promote indigenous art and culture in Papua New Guinea that formed the National Cultural Commission. The National Cultural Commission comprises of the head office, which is the office of the executive director, the corporate service division, and then we have the policy planning and regulatory division, the festival marketing, cultural extension, and arts industry division, of which I'm the executive manager. Apart from that, we have the Institute of Papua New Guinea Studies here, located just next to the Garden City, across there. And in Goroka, we have the National Performing Arts Group, which is located at the Round Theatre in Goroka, and the National Film Institute. These are the institutions that forms the National Cultural Commission, and we are mandated by the Act of the Parliament. 1994 National Cultural Commission is to preserve, protect, promote indigenous art and culture of Papua New Guinea. So each of this division has its own functions. Like my division that I am the executive manager, we look at festivals, marketing, cultural extension service, and arts industry. That we create the festivals throughout Papua New Guinea. All the festivals that we are having throughout Papua New Guinea was that comes underneath my division. So we have the 4 thematic regional festivals in Papua New Guinea that include the National Mask Festival, the Kundu and Kenny Festival in Alatau, the Belasim Skin Up at the Highlands, and we have the Garamut and Mambo Festival in Wewak for the Momasa region. These are thematic festivals. They represent important cultural pillars in Papua New Guinea. For example, in the Mamasa region, we are more prevalent to the Garamut and Mambo culture. So you go into the Mamasa region, there's a lot of culture that associated with Mambo and Garamut. So these thematic festivals were established basically to provide a platform where you have all these practitioners of these cultures coming together and celebrate and appreciate each other's culture. For example, recently we have the National Mask Festival in Rabaul. Prior to the festival that was initiated, NCC created those mask festival, and then it provided a platform where you have all these mask people coming, gathering at the mask festival and celebrate and appreciate the mask, and also, most importantly, see the importance of why we have to maintain and continue to sustain this culture in Papua New Guinea. So that's for my division. Basically, for Institute of Papua New Guinea Studies, which is in Morocco, they look at documenting all the folklore stories, dance, and traditional dance and music, etc., which also include the ethnology, the music, and dance studies. Everything is there. So it's sort of a research institution that collects and research and document all our art and culture, particularly in dance and music. So we have a big archive of all this traditional music being kept at the Institute of Papua New Guinea Studies here in Morocco. Up at the Institute of Film Studies in Goroka, we use film to document our culture in Papua New Guinea. The film is medium for us to document our culture at the same time, market and promote. So And the National Performing Troupe, we use the theatre as a means of maintaining and promoting using our folklore stories and all these things to promote and maintain our culture. So this is basically just a brief of the institutions and their functions in terms of maintaining and preserving our culture in Papua New Guinea.
Would you attribute the lack of education as a contributing factor?
Yes, in some extent, yes. We have to create a lot of awareness to encourage our people to see the importance of why we have to maintain our culture, and also to encourage schools to continue to see that our culture is important. Then they can also be taught at school to encourage people to continue to maintain our culture.
Back to your organization, which is the National Cultural Commission. How does it go about marketing PNG cultural products locally and internationally to raise awareness on PNG's Melanesian culture?
For the Cultural Commission, domestically, Papua New Guinea has one of the more innovative, creative and cultural industry here in Papua New Guinea in terms of the products that we provide. We provide a lot of creative handcraft products, wood carvings and necklaces. So those are classified under as the creative industry, also including our music and all this are classified under creative industry here in Papua New Guinea. Now I think they come, like many of them, under SMEs. They're doing it. But one of the issues, the challenges that we are having right now is that in PNG right now we do not have laws that protects this industry. For example, you see balloons. For example, a Wasara balloon, that is for the people of Wasara district, but nowadays you can see women in islands also doing that. So in terms of this we are coping and all this pro that industry. So once the Cultural Commission now is working on a legislation, which is the Traditional Knowledge and Expression of Culture Bill, that will try to provide some protection over this industry in terms of marketing our artifacts and all this. But at this it now, it's the industry is itself self-driven, meaning that people are now doing that in the small scale. They're selling balloons, they're doing all these things. For the Cultural Commission, in terms of domestic, we provide through the festivals that we are doing. We're encouraging our mothers who are in weaving or are doing handcrafts to participate and sell the product during the festivals. For the international, we have two government session festivals that Papua New Guinea has signed signatories to attend. That is the Festival of Pacific Arts, that is hosted annually, and the Melanesian Arts Festival, which we go. I think the recent one that we just attended was the Festival of Pacific Arts, which was hosted in Hawaii last month. So in terms of marketing our product, I think that provides the best avenue in terms of Papua New Guinea. So for example, our balloons and all these artifacts, we took them there and they were selling good. So in terms of marketing our product, these are the platforms that we use in terms of. And also I think just for the mention is that Anselm was part of the delegation for the Hawaii festival. That's after the festival, he's now signed a record with the King Music Makers in USA. So this is a part of the contribution that INCC has done in terms of promoting our artists, our arts and craft and all. So for the balloons and the other artifacts, we provided, including the visual artists, we provided a platform for them to go. For example, a balloon was selling around $100 in Hawaii during the festivals, and many of the balloons that we took were sold out in Hawaii. So this is avenues that the Commission use every 2 years to promote Papua New Guinea artists on an international stage. Other events, because the government does not support other international events, but it's on a private invitation that people go. But the only two international events which is supported by the Papua New Guinea government is the Festival of Pacific Arts and the Melanesian Arts Festival.
Now, the National Cultural Commission has recently launched the National Cultural Policy. What is the core objective of this policy?
Thank you. I think one of the legacy issue in PNG was that since we got independence up until in 2023 was that the Cultural Commission or all the cultural institutions that were operating in Papua New Guinea does not have any policy. We were operating without a policy that a directive to direct us in terms of doing our functions in terms of culture and arts here in Papua New Guinea. So recently the National Cultural Policy that the Cultural Commission has developed to provide a framework for us to run the culture and art in PNG. Basically, the culture policy comes in three outcomes. One is the performance and production. Second is the safeguard and legislation side of it. Third is the governance and institutional rehab. And I just forgot the fourth one. So these are basically for performance and production. We are looking at encouraging all the festivals, shows and productions stages all throughout Papua, particularly looking at driving the festivals as the main core function for us to maintain our art and culture throughout Papua New Guinea, because I think that is, given our cultural diversity, that medium becomes the most important medium in terms of us doing, and the knowledge is being transmitted. For example, when you do a festival, people go and do things on, and younger generations go on to participate on the festival. They start off by practicing dancing and then actually performing. That's where you acquire the skills, not in the classroom, but by doing it. So the productions and performance covers that. The legislation is now we are looking at reviewing all our legislation, including the National Cultural Commission Act, the Traditional Knowledge and Expression of Culture, and we are working closely with the Investment Promotion Authority, IPO office, to relook at the Copyright and Neighboring Act, right, and also the geographical indications laws, so that comes under the and then the governance and institutions, like rebuilding, renovating all our institutions, both Boroko, Goroka, and the head office, into restructuring, re-equipping, and rebuilding to set them forward to drive the policy. And I think one of the important factors in the policy is to drive the cultural centers throughout the provinces in Papua New Guinea. So with the policy within the 10 years, we'd like to see at least like almost 20 cultural centers, if possible, throughout our province in Papua New Guinea, which the Commission is working closely with the province to sign MOUs. I think we have signed 6 MOUs with provincial government, that include the central provincial government, Oro provincial government, autonomous region of Bougainville, I think West New Britain provincial government, Enga provincial government, and so we are slowly working with other provincial government to sign MOUs with the provincial government for us to drive the policy. It's a national policy that we drive, but then the policy will have to drive to the provincial level and down to the district and to the ward in terms of us, in terms of maintaining and preserving and promoting our art and culture throughout Papua New Guinea.
It's a good segue into my next question, and it reflects the criticalness of stakeholder engagement. What role can academia and research play in the preservation of culture?
Oh, that's yes. It's a very good question. I mean, the academy, most of I think in the field of anthropology, sociology, and all that, they do help us in terms of going into doing research and documenting all our culture that we have throughout Papua New Guinea. I think in that area, our Institute of Papua New Guinea Studies, that covers that area in terms of we have all the anthropologists and researchers in that division, and also including other anthropologists and researchers throughout Papua New Guinea. So they play a vital role in terms of documenting our culture in all our villages. I think that's in the past, the anthropologists have done that. And
from your own perspective, how can we best balance the two competing interests of modernizing through economic development and preserving culture?
Malcolm, I think in terms of many people, that's a very good question which many people are challenging. Now people said, no, we should not be bastardizing our culture. We should not be selling our culture. We should maintain our culture. But in many cases now, people will not try to look after things when they don't have any cash value to it. So in terms of maintaining our culture, we have to put value to our culture. So in doing so, that's why we have festivals. Many of the people who attend festivals, they have been appreciated for them to come. So they start to see the value of their traditional dance. In the past, so some months ago, was thinking, and they have been given kai food and all this, and then some of us, our critic will say, no, we have to do it for the name of, preserving our culture. But, nobody will preserve something that has no value to it. It's not got value land. So, we have to now start shift our mind and think that culture is a resource. It's something that it's a resource that you can use it to make money out of it. So we have to start thinking that. So for preservationists, we have been, advocating and proclaiming that we have to preserve our culture and promote it. Yes, that's all. We have been doing it for the 50 years, but now we have to twist our turn and to see how we can make money out of our culture. Because, there is no point if we continue to preserve it and you are not valuing it. Of course, it is our identity, I'm sure. People would like to. But we have to add value to it. Yeah. So then you can balance. Once you have value, you sit with the current trend of life and add value to your culture. So people will have to make money out of culture, of the culture.
Now, Mr. Time, to what extent can traditional knowledge or practices be compatible with modern practices? For example, the use of traditional forms of currency like tabu and mis for customary obligations, like bride prices and resolving disputes, as opposed to formal legal tender money.
The biggest issue that many of the countries, and it's been raised in the Pacific now, both including the Micronesian, Polynesians, and the Melanesians, is the traditional knowledge and expression of culture. That is TKEC, they said it. So currently, all the Pacific Island countries are now lobbying together to have the countries get the traditional knowledge and expression of culture to become a law to protect all our traditional knowledge and expression of culture in each of the countries, both in Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. With the recent Festival of Pacific Arts that had recently in Hawaii during the 39th Council of the Pacific Arts meeting, they have now brought it up again onto the table for each country now into looking into that and consider that seriously, and it is in line with the Blue Pacific Cultural Strategy that the SPC is currently working on. So in Papua New Guinea, given our cultural diversity and the rate in which many of our traditional knowledge and expression of culture that is been abused and misused now in the country, has raises big concern for the Commission and the government to look. For example, you can see now for many of our traditional motifs have now been used on fabric. Those who are using those have not yet taken prior consent from the owners and are using it. And so that has now become a concern. Basically, if you look at, you sit down and look at the traditional knowledge and expression of culture, many people have run out of ideas. And particularly the most developed nations have run out of ideas, and most of them are looking at third world nations, and some of like the third world countries, they do have all these traditional knowledge and all these things in place that provides inspiration to them in terms of doing any creations that they would like to do. But in Papua New Guinea, we have, given our cultural diversity, we have so much of that in PNG, but we do not have any laws and protection to provide cover for them. So in relation to your context, the traditional knowledge is very, very important to us. It can still be used today to make money. There's many societies in PNG now have now dropped the traditional money. It's only a few that, for example, in the New Guinea Islands, the tabusal is still very, very, very useful in every society in this New Britain. That's become accommodated as a tender that they use for missing New Ireland. But for example, as in the ECP, before we used the ring money, now it's really been used. People now are changing it for cash. Instead of using our traditional money, they are now using it. They're using legal tender to represent all this. So it is also a concern to the Commission to see our traditional monies should also be used in the society. But as people have now changed and they're using more, it also raises a concern for us to look into this and try to provide some platform in which to encourage people to continue to use traditional money. In doing so, for NCC, we have support and assisted the tabusal money in East New Britain, the festival that they have started, to create that so people continue to use tabu as legal tender. We are also looking at other provinces also to continue to encourage them to use their traditional currency as a means of exchange for goods and services in the respective tribe. But on a general note, I think many societies are now slowly and gradually leaving the traditional money, particularly most of the provinces now.
Now, with some of the emerging challenges confronting Papua New Guinea, such as law and order issues, environmental degradation, and natural disasters, what can we draw from our traditional and cultural knowledge to overcome and address these issues?
I think one of the issues that in terms of law order is that, many of our societies now, we tend to, less respect our traditional beliefs, traditional customs in our villages. That also paved way for the lawlessness in the society. In the past, every person in the village follow the traditional law, but as of today, many of our youths for today, they tend not to respect our traditional laws and all this in the society. But for us, I think one of the things that NCC has been working on is we've been doing festivals, going into the village, advocating for people to go back to their roots, to see the culture is important.
Okay, Mr. Time, how can communities preserve and transmit cultural knowledge to younger generations and adopt traditions that are cognizant of modern context?
Okay, the communities are very important. They contain all this knowledge, the traditional knowledge and expression of culture that we've been talking about. It is important because nowadays, as we see, communities, they only come to celebrate the culture when there's occasions. There's occasions, for example, if you have a bride price or if you have an opening ceremony, if you have, then people come in to celebrate that. That's only, or if they have a death, then the culture comes in. So what the Commission have been doing always to encourage people to start developing festivals and events specifically for them to celebrate the culture, at the same time do a transmission of the culture. I'll give an example. For the Gulf people, I think they have one of the most celebrated mass cultures in Papua New Guinea and in entire Melanesia. In the 1800s, since the Christianity that comes in, that wipes that culture completely from the Gulf province. And, in 2004, the Cultural Commission had only 2 old men in that village that know the knowledge of how to do the arrow masks. So we went down to Gulf and started working with them, these two. And then with these two, we started developing the mask festival around that area. And then so the younger people, they started learning how to do it, and then we started off the mask festival in the Gulf. So that has revived the mask culture in Gulf province. So for the community to assist in terms of preservation, when we have such events, and then you have people participate. When they participate, they acquire the knowledge from the traditional elders that they know. So when they participate in such events, they acquire that knowledge, and the transmission of knowledge of our culture has been passed on through doing it, not in formal training, but to practically do things. So for communities, that's why we are creating festivals. I think there's almost like around 87 festivals that we have throughout Papua New Guinea. Is just to provide platform for people to participate. During participation, transmission is been passed on to the younger generation, that we're trying to maintain our cultures and art.
Now, Mr. Time, with some of the emerging challenges confronting Papua New Guinea, such as law and order issues and other social issues, what can we draw from our traditional and cultural knowledge to address these issues? For example, the using of chieftaincy systems to resolve disputes.
Yes. I think one of the most important thing that we have to see and is that if you go throughout Papua New Guinea and those places that they do have their own traditional culture still very active, and is that they have their own. For example, the chief system, it's a very good form in terms of maintaining the law and order system in the village. For example, the chief runs the village, and then, if you go to along the Sepik River, in the middle Sepik, you have the spirit house, so where the chiefs is. So most of this place, that's where when the chiefs provide the leadership. So when it comes to law and order, when the chiefs, the culture, they use their culture in terms of maintaining peace and order in the society. So some of these places, when you go in, you see that it's more coordinated, and they observe and respect their cultures because they have the chief that runs the village. So that's how our culture is important also in terms of maintaining law and order.
Mr. David Tam, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Wara, for having me.
Welcome back to Infocus. In this session, we feature the significance of the Warwagira Mask Festival in East New Britain Province.
The Warwagira National Mass Festival is a national event that was established on maybe 1995. Normally, some of the provinces, the government delegates the authority of the National Mass Festival to other provinces. Also, saya working on Warwagira Block Province. Naban Igol on Block Province, Naban Igol on Block Province. But the decision come up during that time that because it's Britain, it looks like the tourism, we've got this potential in the tourism. So the government says it must be best if they permanently host the National Mass Festival in East Britain. So that's why today we come as far as 27 year of this National Mask Festival celebration in regards to the event that normally thought. Now it's the 27th year of this National Mask and the Warwagira Festival.
festival itself, like Chairman had said, we have a lot of potential here for especially cultural activities, the involvement of our people. But today, because of the concern on our youths, we will, as much as possible, try to empower them so that they can at least inherit some of all the cultural activities. The theme of this year's event again focus on youth empowerment in terms of preserving culture, then encouraging our youth to be involved as much as possible. So, like you asked, our youths are the focus of these festivals, and we continue to run festivals every year in the hope that our youths get involved as much as possible. And you can see the last dance you saw, the young boys as young as 9, 10 years old. And these are the target group that we want to try and target so that they can get involved. Apart from education and stuff like that, we need to also instill some cultural food into their system so that they get involved with the cultural activities. In Isubitin, there's so many cultural events. Apart from normal traditional dances, we have a unique Tubuan dances that we have. When we open the festival on Wednesday, we started off with the Tubuan Kinawai dances. It was performed in the water, and from that it came up to the field for the other Tubuan activities. But we try as much as possible to get as many youths involved as possible.
Welcome back to Infocus. In this session, we look at what opportunities are presented to small and medium enterprises in East New Britain Province when the Mask Festival happens.
In terms of economic spin-off, as you can see on the venue, there's some stall in there. Normally we give the opportunity to the people at home. They come and build their stall in here, and then they start selling. They're selling there. If they've got some product that they want to sell, like craft or handcraft or clothes or food or whatsoever. So we engage them in the area so that they build there, so that they can sell and they can get a bit of revenue to sustain their daily life.
We speak to Nicole Isifu, a local small and medium enterprise entrepreneur, about the opportunities the National Mask and Warwagira Festival provides for small businesses like hers.
So we have coconut products here. Because basically we're all about getting young people to start thinking about agriculture as a business, and has a lot of opportunity that can present to most of these unemployed young people that are looking for opportunities. So yeah, we have a few value-added products, which soap, we're making soap, we have coconut body scrubs, we have coffee from around the place, and also we have on the other side, we've got a few young people who are actually working with us under the Egg Futures Association, which is an association that we focus on young people, technology and agribusiness. So here we're so privileged to have them set up here as well, as they are selling quality solar lights for our communities, because good access to good quality lights helps and it's bringing good down the line of place. So those are young people there, and yeah, products that we're selling, just value adding and getting more of other SMEs, especially in this event, to start looking at the products that they have, to start value adding it, because most of us selling the same old things. like maribels and everything. Like everyone used to do that. Like how do we value add the raw materials that we have in our communities? So basically we have all that. It's just like an educational thing as well, not just like for selling, but it's to educate and create awareness about agriculture and the potential it has. We source all of the products here, all locally sourced, like coconuts from around the place. We have basically all the products that we have here, all coconut-based products. So we have coconut oil, and then we add value to the coconut oil. We make soap, and then we add further value add that to make coconut scrub, and then we put coffee in it, and then we have other flavors into it to make a coconut scrub. And we get honey from the highlands and all that. So yeah, so basically it's just around PNG and mainly in Eastern Britain, yeah.
As a local entrepreneur, the National Mask and Warwagira Festival has provided a great avenue for her business for exposure.
I think with this kind of festivals, it brings more people to see, all the products that we have that we can, especially the raw materials, that we can add value. I'm always about agriculture, and I'm always try to get young people to start looking at agriculture as a different way. And I believe like a lot of these tourists coming in and say, oh, that's quite interesting because you guys have different products on how did you make this and all that. So it sort of spark up some conversation around how do we work together that we can get your products out to some of our places. So yeah, we've got someone yesterday came in and said, oh, how can we get some coconut oil from you to Germany? So how can we get some coffee and all that? So this kind of event give an opportunity for small, I'd say MSMEs, especially in the agriculture space, to showcase their products out to a wider kind of community, let's say, yeah.
She further highlighted how her business incorporates cultural preservation into her business's operations.
I think with this kind of event, getting people like our young people coming out is really good because some of them really amazed by the cultures that we have. And we were just talking about it today, was that most of the cultures that we have now that they are here, they don't know about because probably they grew up in town, their parents moved out and they never had the chance to learn about the cultures that they have. So having young people take along to kind of events like this as well really helps in terms of the culture. And basically with what we are doing as well is we try to get young people to have, because we also have this, I was in the World Indigenous Business Forum last year. We're looking at getting a cultural exchange with indigenous people outside of the country and young people here, and also just having domestic kind of cultural exchange between maybe Eastern Britain and other provinces to exchange the way we farm, especially, and then try to tweak in a bit of modern ways of doing agriculture. So that's what we're basically doing for culture. We try to do an exchange of culture between, because New Ireland's different from Eastern Britain really, and we're so privileged. We have 1,000 tribes, and the way we do things and the way we do agriculture is so different to each other. So the cultural exchange that we're looking at under the Egg Futures is still underway, but we're looking forward to the cultural exchange with other countries and within our own communities.
Welcome back. You're watching In Focus. We discuss how communities can contribute to cultural preservation. A notable example of a trend in Papua New Guinea and Melanesian culture is the competition or the compatibility between traditional knowledge and practices with Western cultural elements. For example, the use of traditional uses of currency like the tabu or the tolai shell money in an age where legal tender currency or money is predominantly used.
The tambu is, as you know, it is a currency that we normally use in Britain. And we used to use a tambu in many ways. One, as a bride price. Two, as a Tubuan society, we normally, like we have in the first highlight of this National Masters Festival of Warwagira, first thing that we are doing now, as my deputy has just mentioned, on the first day, that's on Wednesday. But on that note, the tambu ceremony is very important. This is the currency that normally do around with anything in regard to the tradition or a culture or in whatever that we are dealing with in our society. So tambu is one of the main currency that we use here in Sweden.
In Sweden, we have a dual currency system, but although we have the kina, our PNG currency, that is the kina, we also have the tabu, which is the shell money that we use here. And unlike other provinces, while we have the legal tender of the kina, the power of our shell money is probably, when you look at it, it's a lot more. It's a lot more value than the kina that we have. You know, when the kina depreciates, our kina continue. Our shell money, the tabu, continue to appreciate. So, like previously in the past, the shell money was worth about 20 kina for 10 fathoms. Today it's 50 kina, but just recently it's gone up to about 60 kina for 10 fathoms. And that's how strong our shell money is. It's very, very strong compared to our kina, which continue to go down in value. And that's the power of our shell money, local shell money, the tabu. So a lot of people, like in the villages where they don't have a paid job, they rely on the shell money they have in their banks to purchase whatever they have. A lot of purchasing power. The power of the shell money is very, very strong compared to our kina. But only certain people in the community have banks that fill up with the shell money itself. So the shell money is very, very strong, a lot stronger than our kina.
You're watching In Focus. In this session, we'll feature discussions with artisans and craftsmen at the Warwagira Mask Festival.
I'm Elma Elias. I am from New Ireland, but I grew up in ENB, and I'm an artist. I am ENB's female artist. I've always loved art since I was little, so it became a hobby, and then I decided to move on from that, and it has become a part of me now. So it pretty much just a self passion and all that. Pretty much I mainly do a lot of ENB art since I'm here. But I am more of an abstract artist also, as you can see from this one. I like to mix modern and traditional type of art, so that's how I just keep it together and intact. And yeah. I'll go for the traditional because it signifies ENB. So they usually come for the traditional tumbuans and the duk-duks and everything. Anything that will simplify meaning, has any meaning here in ENB, so they can get it as a souvenir and for them back home. So I mainly do a lot more of ENB paintings than other provinces because this is ENB, and we try to promote ENB, cultural and tourism and all that. So I pretty much base my paintings according to that also.
When something inspiring emotion, nature na surrounding lo me. When a movement lo man, lo some daily life lo man. Most lo abstract painting lo me, when we sa applying lo painting lo me, link back lo some nature environment. Emi yalpi milo motivate mo new generation na inform mo new generation lo modern story mi kuti maut lo pantem painting lo milo disla kano siya mi paint na disla or abstract ya yung kano siya emi roni gonzalo pa na all charcoal na all Bristol fly about siya.
Isla purposely mainly walking lo traditional Samsung. Islam traditional latai. Islam mainly walking out lo feathers lo karu. Same as isla tu. Jadi Islam man pla kain secret. Tiba ul sim no smash sim no usim lo painting face one. Islam traditional colors. So Islam ano sa man pla traditional attire tu. Time make him out lo an special plan install of bus. Sa million sa dusim tu lo samsam. Mol kolim lo tok place apur disla. Disla mol lo tok place mol kolim tok. Na disla abup. Disla paint lo face awar papar.
Well, viewers, that ends this special 1-hour episode of Infocus. Do join us again next week Monday on our regular time slot of 7 p.m. Till then, bye for now. This program is supported by the ABC International Development through the Media Development Initiative.
This program was proudly brought to you by Telecom Limited and Daytech.